my name is Gabe Zollner. You remember Ed Koch? Ed Koch is the ex-mayor of New York. And, you know, unfortunately, I think he's a typical out-of-touch, far-left Democratic freak. WorldNet Daily published an article along with a video titled "Ex-New York City Mayor Ban All Guns." Koch, while speaking on a New York WABC radio, said, quote, "If I had my way, I would pass such a law except to allow hunting and target practice. And you lay out safety procedures for that." Then he went on to say, "If you need a gun because the police commissioner thinks that your life is in danger, which is the only way you can get a concealed carry in New York, it's called the Sullivan Law. You have to have the permission of the police commissioner." Quote, "So subject to those modifications," he stated, "I don't believe we should have millions of guns out there in the hands of people that are not law enforcement." Ex-Mayor Koch is clearly out of his mind. California, for example, had a sheriff who's now in prison. He's been there for, I think, 3 years, and he probably has another 4 years to go before he'll be released. But he's an interesting individual for a number of reasons. It also shows you how the unions are so powerful. While in prison, he's receiving about $220,000 a year in his pension. Yeah, so he's getting a pension of $220,000 while he's in prison, and he earned his pension being a sheriff, and he's in prison because he was a crooked sheriff, all right? But anyway, I don't want to divert here. The point I was trying to make is that while he was sheriff, he gave a lot of permits, concealed carry permits, which is very difficult to obtain in California, to a lot of his friends. When the lady sheriff came in to replace him, she took all those permits back. And I don't know how many are out there now, but when that all went down, a lot of people that had them lost them. So you see, taking away or giving permits doesn't work. What does work is having honest, law-abiding citizens. Now, you take, for example, that New York newspaper that went ahead and published who has guns and who doesn't have guns. Well, now what they're finding is that both groups of people are being robbed. Now, the people that don't have guns are being robbed for other items, their TV sets or VCRs or who knows what. But the people that had guns that are identified on this list, guess what they're being robbed of? Their guns. Now, you see, no different than the government cannot control the consumption of drugs in this country, which is probably in the tunes of billions of dollars a year. They can't control illegal weapons either. I mean, nobody knows that better than them because they were doing that. They were sending weapons across the border, and that was the government that was doing it. But anyway, so really, Ed Koch has got to understand that we live in different times. And there's what? There's 200 million guns in the United States that we know of. You think we're just going to sort of hand them over to you? And if we did, you know what would happen? What would happen is we would create gun-free zones. Now, what have we learned about gun-free zones? Well, if you take a look at most of the mass shootings, they occur in gun-free zones. The Colorado shooting at the theater, gun-free zones. Wisconsin, gun-free zones. It's just a matter of that's where they go. When these mentally ill people decide to kill people, they're not going to go to a shooting range. They're not going to go to a gun store where they know people are armed. They're going to go where they know people are not armed, and they're going to have the maximum destructive capabilities. So what do we need to do? We need to eliminate gun-free zones. And a lot of states are doing that. I just heard on the TV, one of the states is going to have their custodians, the janitors at the schools, take 2 days of training, and then they'll be armed. We have to eliminate the hunting grounds for these bad people. And the way you do that is you eliminate gun-free zones. And they'll think twice before they enter another school with an AR or with whatever else to take the lives of people just to show how incredibly cruel they are. And they want to leave some kind of sick, twisted legacy. That's why these people do it. They're not normal. So giving guns to American citizens that pass background checks, allowing people to carry weapons. I don't believe in what Arizona did by banning or by eliminating the necessity for concealed carry. I have a concealed carry permit, but I took a course to obtain it. And they passed a law here that anybody can carry concealed as long as they're not a criminal or a felon. I think that's wrong. And actually I was surprised that more people weren't hurt because they didn't know how to use the weapons that they are able to carry. But that's a different story. The reality is that crime increases dramatically in areas where they try to control guns. The majority of your democratic states, like in Illinois, they have a very high rate of crime. And the reason that is because they have very strict gun laws. And the only ones that obey the gun laws are the honest, law-abiding citizens. The bad guys never obey the gun laws. And the bad guys not only have semi-automatics, they have full automatics. So, what's going to work? Well, what's going to work is, number one, getting rid of the gun-free zones. Number two, allowing American citizens to protect themselves according to the Second Amendment. And number three, having a government keep their nose out of our business. What this whole gun thing comes down to, I think, is two things. One, I bet you a lot of these congressmen and senators bought a lot of stock in gun manufacturing companies and ammunition companies. I'll bet you they did. And that can be easily verified, I guess. The other thing that has to happen, and this I think is more important, is that people have got to recognize that people kill people. And if they don't have a gun, they'll find another means. This is just a diversionary tactic of this administration. They want to divert, distract, to deceive. And where our focus should be, and I've said this numerous times, is on Benghazi. Benghazi is the key to end this nightmare. If Benghazi is fully investigated, the evidence will be indisputable, and Obama will be removed from office. All right? I've done a number of videos on this. There's a twisted tale of the blind sheik in here. There's all kinds of things going on. And the reason it became so obvious is attempted cover-up. Somebody gave the stand-down orders. The only one that can give the stand-down orders is the Commander-in-Chief. What else do you need to know?